Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be another product review, and I've had my eye on this kit for a few weeks, almost a month now, and it just kind of caught my eye because of the whole, strawberry makeup trend that was going around. And then this kind of palette and kit was released with E.L.F. So I thought, why not try it out and see how it looks, especially on Asian brown skin tone, and see if it's something that's worth picking up. Some of these shades that I was seeing on the palette, like on the online photos, were a little bit on the lighter side, so I don't know how well it would work with Asian skin tone, to be realistically honest, but let's just try it out and see how it does. So this is the E.L.F. Berry Hot Drop, and it's a collab with I think it's a gamer called Loserfruit. You can see that the main picture there on the front is a strawberry, so yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good time to release it this summer, what with all the tomato girl makeup, strawberry girl makeup trends going around. So very fitting, really. But yeah, let's dive in. So the whole kit came like this, and then they also had this really cute strawberry bag, which let me just take it out of the packaging actually. So they had this really cute strawberry bag as well, with the collection, and the whole collection sort of came together with the bag and the palette and kits inside. I don't know if you can individually get the products. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cute backpack. It's nicely lined with like velvet. It's got this velvety texture to it. And yeah, it's got a zip at the back as well, actually, to be fair. I mean, it's a well-made bag. I don't know if I just see myself carrying this, to be honest, around out and about. I mean, it's very, I don't know, is this something really an adult carries? I don't know. I might find that it works really well with an outfit that I'm wearing one day and just pick it up and try it, but it's definitely something that's out of my comfort zone. So I'll have a little rethink about what I want to do with this bag later on, but it's mainly the makeup products that I'm interested in. So let's dig into the kit and see how we get on. PS, if my voice is sounding a little bit hoarse and a bit dry today, that's because it is. If my face is looking puffy, especially my eyes, that's because they are. I just had an allergic reaction to, apparently I've got a dust allergy, so yeah. So I've got dust allergy, and this is what happened. I had a full-on allergic reaction yesterday, and have pretty much been in bed all day today. I've had pretty much slept, the entire day to get to this point where I'm actually able to sit down upright. But that's the way it goes, that's the way life goes. I really wanted to get myself filming today because I feel like it's been a while since I filmed, and I'm trying to do regular uploads on my channel. So this is what the packaging looks like once you've kind of opened into it. There's like this instruction card that's come with the kit, and then this is the whole thing. This is the palette. So you've got a face palette, a lip mask situation, and a cute, really cute strawberry sponge. I've never really tried E.L.F's sponges or their lip masks yet, so that will be pretty cool to dig into. I think the only thing that I've tried is like one of their blush and highlight duos recently. So yeah, it'll be quite cool to dig into a face palette, eyeshadow, with eyeshadows, and I think these are blushes. I've just been kind of looking at the instructions card, which is quite interesting. So the lip mask, they've even got like directions of how to use the products in the kit. Some of them you'll think it's pretty straightforward, but yeah, I mean, it's quite good that they actually have this whole layout. I think just says apply an even layer to lips and leave overnight for next level nourishment. So the lip mask sounds like it's supposed to be pretty nourishing. It's infused with hyaluronic acid, and it's also got a strawberry sweet scent. So if scents aren't your thing, you might not want to pick this up. I don't know if they've got just a original scent in this lip mask situation of theirs. So yeah, that is the lip mask. It's a pretty cute packaging. I really like how they've done with the PR and packaging side of things with this collection. Yeah, it's just very like cute, and oh yeah, it's a pretty strong strawberry scent. It actually smells like the strawberry Hubba Bubba. And that's what it's reminding me of. So if you are not, you know, picky with scents and you don't mind strawberry scent, then yeah, this wouldn't be a problem. But if you are very sensitive to scents, then I would probably say stay away from this. There is probably an unscented version of this in E.L.F's skincare line, so yeah, so that's pretty cool. It also does come with a spatula as well, so you can, you know, pick out the product without getting your fingers in there and bacteria in there. Very hygienic and very thoughtful for them to actually include a spatula with the lip mask. The only thing that I can see happening is this getting lost, because it's just going to be free floating somewhere probably. So yeah, I would say just try and keep these together somewhere safe. So yeah, you're going to have to kind of keep your eye out for that. Let's move on to the sponge. The directions say sweep pointed side across your formula of choice and apply to high points of the face. Gently bounce the rounder side across the face to blend. The only thing that kind of throws me off is this little stem thing. I mean, it is pretty malleable, but I don't know if it will leave like imprints in the you know, like imprints on the formula when you're obviously trying to blend it out, because it's not like a smooth surface. So yeah, I probably have to just go in with the sides really, and use the pointed side. But yeah, I mean, it's a really cute thought to have like a strawberry sponge with the collection. It's very fitting for the whole, you know, thing that they're putting out there. It actually does say that you can use this wet or dry, so that's good to know, because I was about to go and wet this, but actually I don't tend to use dry sponges. I usually do wet my sponges, but I mean, this is soft enough that it feels like not too heavy or harsh to be used dry. So let's give it a go dry today, I think. And it does say flawlessly blends foundation and powder. So yeah, it can be used with both wet formulas or, you know, dry powder formulas, it seems. Now coming on to the face palette, if we just get into the actual packaging so we can see what the shades are like. Right, so the eyeshadows is kind of what threw me off. This actually looks a lot lighter than what it does like on their PR photos online, and even on here actually. Like that end shade looks darker on this picture to me than it actually is in real life. It looks very kind of grey toned here. And then these face powders as well. I mean, I can see this blush working. I can see you kind of mixing that blush with these to make it work for my skin tone. I mean, if you're darker than me, then I don't even know if that is an option. But I mean, alone, standalone, I'm a bit curious to see how these might actually show up on the skin, or if they do at all. Mixed thoughts and mixed feelings about the palette, to be honest. So let's have a look at their packaging. It says ultra pigmented and blendable formula for the blushes, and it says a mix of matte and shimmer shades, which is correct. So this one looks like a very glittery shade. This looks like a bit of a muted shimmer, and then those two are mattes. I think you definitely can't expect anything deep from this palette. Like, it looks like a very fair toned, much more on the lighter scale of palette. So if you feel like you need the darker shadows to you know, do your eyeshadows, you don't like having light shadows on your eyes, then I don't think this palette is definitely for you, because the mattes, you know, that's the deeper shade that it will get to. I guess you can use the blushes on your eyes as well, so that is also an option. It is a face palette and it's marketed as a face palette at the end of the day, so you can kind of mix and match where you use your formulas, I'm guessing. But yes, it does say gently pat blush into skin until blended, apply shadows to eyes using a brush or finger for a monochromatic look. So looks like that's what the aim was. It's to kind of try and create a monochromatic strawberry pink toned kind of a palette or a look. The question is this suitable for all skin tones, and will it show up on most skin tones? So you know, we've got a whole range of colors to be dealing with. So when you kind of release one palette like this, it does make it a little bit complicated. I mean, especially when you're doing a collaboration, it's up to the collaborator, I guess, to think about what they want to include in the palette and what shades and stuff. But I think it's also up to the collaborator to think if they are catering to a wider audience, or, you know, who they're catering to. I mean, if they specifically wanted to just cater for lighter skinned people, then very fitting palette. But if they were thinking that this palette would be suited for, you know, the deeper skin tones as well, I'm very curious to see that and see if it does work, because if it does, then great, but if it doesn't, then, you know, you got to think about who you are catering to. And when you do releases like this, you know, some people might be offended that, you know, they can't use this palette or can't use the eyeshadows because it's just too light for them. So yeah, lots to think about. I've already prepped my skin, so I've got moisturizer and stuff on. I'm going to dip into the lip mask because I'm really curious to see how this does work on the lips. So we're going to just dip into the spatula. I think that much should do, right? Do you go directly on your lips with it, or I'm just going to put it on my finger? Oh yeah, that is pretty much enough to cover my lips. I don't need to dig any deeper, which is great. That was enough for my lips and to get all over my lips. Formula, it's a little bit like thinner than I was expecting to. Like, it's still thick, but the way that it's obviously packed into this pot, you're kind of expecting, like, I don't know, a really kind of thick, like, gel almost. But once I started like melting into the lips, it really like the formula really kind of melted and got thinner as it you know, went over my lips. So it was a really comfortable feeling. You can still slightly smell the strawberry scent once it's gone on your lips. So I don't know if that will dissipate. So if you're not a big fan of fragrances in your lip products or in your skincare products, then yeah, I would say definitely stay away from this, because yeah, there's a little tendency for it to linger. So I don't know how long it's going to linger for, but I mean, I don't mind the strawberry scent, so this is all right with me. I've just noticed that obviously this is a mirrorless palette. Like, I was just looking for a mirror to hold up to do my like foundation stuff with the sponge. I really like the packaging. Like, it's see-through, very like jelly-like color, like super cute. But it is a downside that there's obviously no mirror in here, because this would have been a pretty nice size to have a good decent sized mirror in here. You know, sometimes I feel like when palettes don't have a mirror, it's just a bit of wasted kind of opportunity or wasted space, because especially if you're thinking of traveling with the palette somewhere, then you've got to pack a separate mirror or make sure one of your other products have mirror. I mean, these days most eyeshadow palettes tend to have mirrors in them, so it's not the hugest, like, you know, it's not the hugest downside to it. But, you know, when you've got a face palette that has shadows and has blushes and stuff in them, and if this is the only palette you're thinking of carrying, you probably do want a mirror in there. But yeah, I mean, the packaging is super cute. I really like it, but little downside is that there is no mirror in there. Let's use the sponge and see how good this does with my foundation. I'm not going to go in with primer or anything today. I feel like I've been doing that a lot these days. I'm not even really using a pore filling primer. I'm just kind of relying on my powder to kind of you know, blur out any imperfections or anything. Yeah, I feel like I don't know, some steps you just kind of either get out of the habit of, you know, doing, or you just kind of feel like, is it really necessary? And especially when you're in a rush, or you're going somewhere that, you know, doesn't really need your makeup to last, you know, eons of years. You're just missing out steps and missing out stages of the process. So anyway, I'm going to go in with my foundation. I still have my old Makeup Forever Ultra HD, which I'm trying to get through before I actually try the new one. I want to try and get through a good, you know, hefty amount of this before I invest in the new one that was released, or the reformulated version of this. I do want to do a comparison video at some point. So anyway, that's the foundation I'm going in with. I feel like it is important to use up your old products. Like, I know there's new releases constantly happening all the time, but it's just wasteful to not, you know, revisit old products. So yeah, I definitely try, and as much as I am using new products, when I've got my makeup kit together and stuff, I am consciously trying to put, you know, older products in there to use up and stuff and whatnot. So anyway, I've got some of the foundation on the back of my hand. It's a pretty close enough match, especially when I've got concealer and stuff. It's not too bad. I'm just going to pick some directly on the sponge and just go in. So this is a dry sponge. I haven't wet it, so I'm expecting if I do wet it, it will expand a bit. The coverage tends to always be sheerer when you've got when you're doing a sponge application, which, you know, it's kind of easy to expect. What I'm going to do actually is, instead of directly picking it up on the sponge, I'm going to just apply the foundation to my skin and then blend it out that way. I feel like it kind of soaked up some of the product when I picked it up directly on the sponge. There is some coverage that it added, but definitely not nearly as much as when I am going in with my brush. So yeah, let's just spread the product on the skin on this side first and see if that's any better. Yeah, definitely better. It's a really soft sponge, like it's not harsh at all. I'm not getting, you know, feeling like I'm putting sandpaper across my face or anything, which some sponges do have the tendency to do. I am actually going to go in with another pump of foundation because I feel like the coverage is definitely not as much as what I get with my brush. So going with a little bit more, and then I'm just going to actually spread that across my skin with my finger first, and then blend it out using the sponge. I've got a little kind of excess on the back of my hand, so I'm just gonna pick up that with the sponge, and then we're just gonna blend away and see. Yeah, it's kind of what I expect with any sponge. It's a really nice sponge though. You know, like I said, it's not rough at all. Doesn't feel like sandpaper going across your skin, but it's just the coverage is obviously not what you would probably expect if you're used to using a brush. Just going to apply a bit of concealer as well and blend that out using the pointed side of the sponge. I'm kind of piling the concealer on a little bit more than what I would tend to do. Like I said, the sponge has the tendency to sheer out the product, so this is a little bit more concealer than I tend to apply with a brush. Yeah, it's definitely like, you know, blending my foundation and concealer out like seamlessly. You know, there's no brush strokes or anything that you have to worry about, and sponges are really convenient for that. Like if you are wanting fast application, fuss-free application, you know, a sponge is definitely the way to go. Sponges are definitely beginner friendly, so if you're somebody new, you know, starting new into makeup and stuff, and you're learning how to do your own makeup, I would say definitely start with a sponge. You kind of can't go wrong with the application of it. Anyway, I'm going to start blending out the concealer under my eyes, and this is pretty pointed, so I think it should kind of reach far enough. But that's also another reason why I like using brushes, because I feel like you can really get into the areas of the eyes where it can be a little bit more difficult with a sponge, to really blend out, you know, kind of little crevices in your eye, especially like this inner part of your eye over here. It's a lot more easily reachable with a brush. Yeah, that's definitely very seamless. The Shiseido concealer is definitely one of my favorite concealers. It's so creamy and blends out like a dream, so you can, it's definitely a good concealer to try, you know, application methods, to try on top of, you know, different foundations and stuff, to see lasting power and whatnot. And like I said, even though it is creamy, like once you've set it with powder, you don't really need to worry about the creasing or anything or fading. And yeah, I've been kind of solely using this Shiseido concealer all year, really. Used to use the Maybelline eraser concealer, but yeah, once I got this in my kit, it's been a little bit more difficult to kind of put it down. It's interesting to see how you go through products as well, so you know, how you switch products, how you kind of get hooked onto products over time. I think I've got a pretty good idea of how this sponge is working. It's definitely a nice sponge. It's very, very flexible, soft, not rough on the skin. You know, it hasn't brought up any dry patches and stuff. That's also another reason why a sponge is good to keep in your kit. If you've got dry skin, I feel like a sponge is definitely more forgiving with that. You know, if you've got dry patches and stuff, to, you know, really get the product blended in as seamlessly as possible, yeah, you should go in with a sponge. So yeah, I mean, today I used the sponge dry, but I am curious to see how the sponge works also when it's wet. I think a little bit more use and you know, yeah, just use really will tell me how good this sponge does. So I think next time I do use the sponge, I'll be using it wet to see if there is a major difference between the wet and dry application. But yeah, definitely the fact that you don't have to hassle yourself to wet the sponge to use it is a bonus. Yeah, I mean, you can see kind of how flawless that's made my skin look. Going in with the face palette finally, I think I'm going to just swatch the shades out first on the back of my hands, or hand, and see what it is doing. So I'm going to start with the shimmer shade first. This is the most kind of shimmeriest shade in the whole eyeshadow part. It's kind of looking like a bit topperish. Oh yeah, that kind of feels topperish, metallic. Definitely an interesting formula. It's very soft. Next we're going into the second shade. It's really cute that they've got this strawberry imprint in there as well. Oh yes, that's more of a soft metallic shade here. First one is definitely more topperish and glittery. Going into this shade here now, it's like a very pastel pink, almost like a highlight colour really. Okay, it is showing up on the back of my hand. That's something I can kind of imagine going under the brow bone with. The last shade here, it's kind of like a purplish mauve colour. Yeah, I mean, it's still looking a little bit dusty on the back of my hand. We'll see how it applies once it's on the eyes though, but yeah, it's definitely a little bit more dustier than I was hoping it to be. I'm going to swatch the blush shades as well. So this is the first one. I'm just going to go on this side of the eyeshadows. Guess you can use that on the eyes as well. So that is the first blush shade. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see that showing up really on my cheeks. This one, still pretty pale, but you can see yeah, it just looks pretty dusty to me. And then obviously this is the most hopeful shade, which is this one on the end. It's very bright and very strawberry-like. Yeah, so that's the shade at the bottom. That is definitely going to show up. I mean, you can probably put this on your eyes as well to help with the eyeshadows a little bit. This is the full extent of the shades that we've got going on. It is a very pale toned palette. Let's go into the eyes first and see how that does. I'm gonna kind of stick to what the palette is specifically showing and advising. Probably gonna use the blushes on my eyes at some point to you know, extend the colour, you know, range of this palette. But I'm going to stick to truly what they are showing, how they've separated this palette to be, which is this is eyeshadows and these are blushes. So, you know, we'll stick to that and see how that works first before we start meddling with the whole palette. So this is like the full scheme, full colour range that you've got going on. This blush definitely looks pigmented though, so I'm a little bit excited to see how that wears. I'm just going to apply a little bit of eyeshadow primer first, so I'm going in with the Too Faced Melted Chocolate matte eyeshadow. So this is actually a matte eyeshadow which I actually like to use as a primer as well. The shade of it is very close to my skin tone. Obviously the colours from this palette will probably show up better if I did go in with like a paler eyeshadow primer, like the Urban Decay one in the shade Eden. It's like cream colour. But yeah, I don't want to try so hard basically. I'm curious to see how the palette does alone, just on brown skin tone, as it should be. And then obviously we can experiment with other shades of primer and stuff like that to see if that helps bring out the shades of the palette more. At this point I'm just thinking out loud. You know, I haven't tried the formula. It could be very pigmented and we could be taken by surprise. I'm just a little bit worried that the colour range is so much skewed on the light side of the colour range. So, you know, when you are releasing products for a makeup audience, you kind of, you know, I would like to see people take everybody into account, you know, skin tone wise and undertone wise. The medium to deep skin colour range does tend to kind of get left out, and it can be a bit frustrating. It's definitely improvements in that area over the last couple of years, so, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining hard. I am, but we definitely have to give it to the brands that are making a change in that area, that are coming out with, you know, a really large shade range and stuff, and palettes that would suit different skin tones. But anyway, let's not jump the gun, and we'll try this out on our face before we make up our final thoughts. So I think I'm going to go in with this shade on my crease and eyelid area, using a pretty fluffy brush for that. Okay. It's showing up more than I imagined. It's like a mauve shade once it's on my eyes actually. I'm actually going to buff this onto the outer third of my eye as well, seeing as this is the deepest shade, matte shade that we've got in the palette. I'm going to just make sure I'm doing the same on the other side as well. I've had some dry patches on this eyelid over here, and the formula actually is doing very well at blending over those dry patches. Much better than some of the eyeshadows I used recently, actually just yesterday. I used the Wet n Wild quad. I think it's the shade Walking on Eggshells, and it really kind of highlighted the dry patches that I had on the inner part of my eyelid, especially on this eye, whereas this formula is definitely smoothing over that a lot better than I thought, so that's something to point out, definitely. I'm going to go in with the lighter matte, and I'm just going to kind of bring that up to the brow bone, under the brow bone, just to kind of give that area a little bit of a pop and a highlight, using the same fluffy brush. Like, I'm not gonna change my brush over, just using the same brush and going in under my brows there. There's a little bit of kickback in the pan, but not, you know, terrible amount. I'm gonna use this kind of a small shader brush to go in with this mauve shade. I'm gonna go under my bottom eyelid with this. Actually, I'm going to take it in the whole way. I was just kind of focusing on the outer third, but I think I'm just going to take it the whole way. This is actually a double-sided brush, so I'm going to use the flat edge to start applying some of the shimmers. I might want to go in with my fingers. Some shimmers do work better, you know, with your fingers, but we'll try with the brush first. So I'm going in with this gold, what kind of a shade is that? It's like a pale gold. It's not as bright as a champagne, I would say. It's definitely like a gold, pale gold. And I'm going to just apply that to the middle of my eyes first, and kind of extend it outwards into the outer third. I really like how the shimmer is looking. It's very soft. Wow, it's a very soft shimmer, but it's definitely showing up really nicely. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. It's not nearly looking as dry as my eyeshadow looked yesterday. I'm just going to go in with my finger as well to see if we can build up the shimmer to be a little bit more punchy. Yeah, finger applications do tend to make shimmers look more punchy. So yeah, it's definitely the case with this one as well. Although you'll be surprised, the very few shimmers work better with a brush as well. So that rule doesn't apply to all formulas, unfortunately. So I'm going to go in with the very shimmery glitter topper kind of shade on the inner third now. I'm going to pick it up with my brush. Again, I'm not sure if this is a brush formula or a finger formula, but we'll try it with the brush first. I feel like the application is just a little bit more precise when you've got a brush to, you know, go on. There's a bit of fallout with this shade, definitely. It's looking a little bit patchy with my brush, especially over here. Let's try and just get that blended out. And I'm going to go in with my pinky for that shade. Oh yeah, a lot better with the finger. So I'm just going to actually kind of merge that into the pale gold shade, and then really try and get into the inner corner there. I'm actually just going to kind of sparingly spread out the glitter topper across that pale gold as well, so it kind of disperses better and it doesn't look like I've just got a chunk of glitter right in the inner corner of my eye. Wow, it's definitely a very nice shade though. It's got these very cute like pinkish reflex in it, which you can't actually see it in the pan, but you can definitely see it on the eyes. Yeah, I'm gonna ditch the brush and just use my finger for the other eye. It's definitely worked better. I'm gonna just use a brush to kind of clean up the edge of that and get it kind of into the inner corner of the eye. A little bit of fallout with this topper shade actually, but it's not terrible. Okie dokie. That's actually super pretty. I'm just gonna use a powder brush to clean up the fallout just under the eyes over here. And then I'm actually going to use the shader side of the brush to go in with some shimmer on the bottom eyelid as well. And again, the flat side, I'm just going to pick up the shimmer just on the edge of the brush and bring that in right in the inner corner. That's very pretty. I really like how the glitter shade looks on the bottom eyelid as well. Let's go into the blush shades. I'm just thinking, do I want to use the sponge to go in? It does say you can use it with powders, so why not give it a go? Right, let's go in with this shade first and see how that does. Something is showing up. I feel like I'm going to try it with a brush though. I just feel like I'm a lot more comfortable applying blush that way. Yeah, it is somewhat showing up. Got a very light pink flush there. It's a little bit peachy. It's definitely not going to show up on deeper skin tones than me. It's going to look very pale. I'm going to try this pale pink as well, just on the kind of apples of my cheeks and see what that does. Oh yeah. I think I'm intentionally kind of digging deep into the pan though, because I feel like in the pan the shade is so pale that it just doesn't seem like it's going to show up. So I feel like I'm intentionally like picking up a lot more product than I would usually be comfortable with picking up on a blush palette. But it's definitely showing up. And then I'm just gonna kind of scatter this end shade, trying to go in with a very light hand. I'm gonna just kind of focus that maybe towards the end here. Yeah. So I've got the face done. I'm gonna just fill in my brows and do my mascara, and I'll be right back with my final thoughts. Right guys, I am back with the finished makeup look. I'm just gonna take my hair out very quickly. Sort this out. Right, so we're just gonna kind of collect our final thoughts about this E.L.F. Loserfruit collab. Starting off with the lip mask, it is actually very nourishing. It did a good job at softening my lips and prepping them for lipstick. I am excited to try this out a little bit more. I've never tried E.L.F.'s lip balms, or actually I haven't tried anything from E.L.F. skincare either. So very curious to see how this will work as a overnight lip mask. I also recently tried the Dr. Paw one. I have to say I'm not liking that one for overnight. I feel like it's not nearly as nourishing as I'd expect it to be. It's a pretty thick balm as well. But yeah, I mean, I've been kind of using it throughout the day and at night, but it hasn't really done a great deal. I don't know, my lips just don't feel as nourished after using that lip balm as it would with like a Carmex or something. So yeah, I'm excited to try this out as an overnight lip mask as well. and see if that does work any better. I wish there was something where you could kind of attach this little spatula to on the actual packaging itself, like, I don't know, maybe at the bottom. No, actually not at the bottom, but well, even at the side somewhere, just like a little slot or something that you can put the spatula into, because I feel like this is gonna end up getting lost somehow somewhere. But the actual formula for now feels really nice, and yeah, definitely did a good job at softening and prepping my lips for my lipstick. We've got the sponge next, and today I used the sponge dry, and so I do want to use the sponge wet next time to see if there actually really is a difference. I know it says you can apply powders with this, which maybe it might work better if you're using a wet sponge to apply the powders, but I feel like I don't know, I think I'm just more comfortable using brushes to apply powder anyways. So I did try the sponge, but I feel like I definitely got a better application with my brush. However, to blend out my foundation, concealer and like cream products, it worked very well. You know, sponges are known to share out coverage, so I'm not surprised about that. You know, I definitely would have probably used less product if I was using a brush. With my Makeup Forever HD foundation, I tend to only really go in with a pump usually, maybe at the most pump and a half if I want, you know, a little bit of extra coverage somewhere. But I feel like I went in with like two pumps and a bit to use it with the sponge. So I mean, it's kind of a personal choice thing. If you are used to brushes, then you know, brushes it is. But like I said, it can't hurt to have a sponge in your makeup kit, because you you know, especially if you've got dry skin, you're going through a dry patch, you know, sponges are definitely a better applicator. It doesn't tend to lift up any dry patches as easily as well. I'm really liking the sponge, very soft, very cushiony, and not rough on the skin at all, which is the main thing. Like, I don't want anything to be, even with brushes, some like bristles can be really rough on the skin and you're like, nah, I'm okay. But yeah, no, this was good. This was a nice comfortable sponge, and very cute with the packaging for sure. Now the palette. So palette actually took me by surprise. You can't expect a dark look with this palette. This is the darkest you're gonna get, and if you're a deeper skin tone than I am, I think I would rethink you know, whether you want this palette or not. The blushes are very well pigmented, and so are the eyeshadows actually, but you know, this is the deepest that it's gonna get, unless you start using this in your eyeshadow look as well. But if we're just looking at the eyeshadow part alone, this is the deepest it's gonna get. So if you're not into a light look, if you are a deep smoky lover, this palette is definitely not for you. If you like ethereal looks, if you like fresh looks, if you like the light looks, then yeah, think about it. But if you've got a deeper skin tone than me, you know, I'm not sure. Yes, the blushes are well pigmented, but because of the shade they are, you know, I'm not sure if this will end up showing up on your skin. It did for me. So if you are around my skin tone, then to be honest, I think this is the limit. Like, this is the deepest skin tone that is able to use this palette and get away with it. If you're any deeper than me, or any more, you know, olive tone than I am, I don't know if it will show up. I feel very torn, because I actually really ended up liking the look a lot better than I thought I was going to. You know, when I was swatching the shades out on my hands, especially with these blush shades and the matte eyeshadow shades, the pigmentation definitely took me by surprise, and I feel like I got away with it because of the level of pigmentation. So pigmentation win. Color shade choice, I'm not sure. And yes, like I said, if you are like a deeper skin tone than I am, I would definitely rethink it. If you are able to swatch it in the store or something somewhere, I think I would definitely swatch the shades out you know, before you buy it, because at the end of the day it's still money that you're investing, and you know, you don't want to buy a palette that is not going to serve you what you want it to do for you. So I like the looks that I'm getting from this. I can see myself using this for sure, but when it comes to recommending, there's a little question mark, and the question mark is all based on how deep your skin tone is. So I wish that the collaborator or E.L.F had thought of releasing a like even just a additional palette with similar similar vibe, but with deeper shades. And then, you know, that way you wouldn't have had the question mark of, is this palette going to work for me? Because you've got the option of either going for the lighter palette or the deeper palette, depending on your skin tone. So I think that's something that collaborators need to think about. It says a juicy new collab with Twitch superstar Loserfruit, inspired by her logo. I feel like that's where the brand needs to come in and maybe advise on, you know, advice to the collaborator, maybe, oh, you know what, this palette is actually looking very much on the light side, and we want to cater to a wider audience. Would you think about doing, you know, another palette, a deeper palette, or including deeper shades? That is definitely going to work across the board for all skin tones, because you're losing half the market. I mean, even from a brand point of view, you're losing half the market when you don't cater to all skin tones. So it's a tough one. I like the look that I got today from this palette, and I definitely will be reusing the palette, but I would say just be wary on picking this up if you haven't already, depending on your skin tone and what your preferences are in terms of shades and the kind of looks that you like to get from your makeup. I do have to say that I'm thoroughly impressed and very pleased with the formula in the palette though. The eyeshadows, like, honestly, like this dry patch here, I don't know if you can see it. Yesterday I used the Wet n Wild eyeshadow palette, and you could, it was not nice. Like, you could see the dry patch. Whereas I feel like this formula, yes, the dry patch is a little bit better than what it was yesterday, but I was totally expecting for the shadows to, you know, really catch on to the dry patches on my eyes. I feel like this is like such a smoothing formula. It hasn't caught onto my dry patches nearly as much as, you know, the Wet n Wild eyeshadows did yesterday. And there's just a very super blendability to the formulas, which I'm thoroughly pleased with. And the blushes too. The blushes are like, there's actually a very subtle glow to the blush that I'm actually just noticing now. I actually didn't add any highlighter at all. So this glow that you're seeing is from the blush palette. I think it's from the blush palette. I didn't actually set my face either, so it could be from the foundation, but where I'm seeing the glow, it's definitely on top of the powder. So I think it's the blush formula. There's a slight sheen to it, which is it kind of adds life back into the skin, which I really like. And again, it's very smoothing. This applied on top of fresh foundation. I didn't set my face. I actually forgot to set my face, but it looks so smoothing and so yeah, very well pigmented formula, very well pigmented powders. So I've got no gripe with the formula of the palette whatsoever. It's just the shade range, and I feel like at this point we should be catering to more skin tones anyway. So that's just the one gripe I've got with it. I feel like there is a part of me that sometimes thinks, you know, maybe I should not review things that I feel like aren't going to cater to all skin tones. But at the same time, I feel like, you know what, as somebody who is a consumer, as somebody who loves makeup, I should be trying it out and I should be giving feedback so that brands are made aware and they're not sat in the dark. I feel like the more voices that they hear, the more likelier they are to go in the right direction. I feel like that movement is happening already, which is something that's absolutely great and I love. But yeah, let's just keep adding more voices to that movement. I think on a personal level, I think I'm pretty happy with this, but when I think about, you know, the wider audience, you know, that's what makes me go it's 50-50, and that's a little bit sad given that the formula is so good, that, you know, you get let down on something so simple as just broaden the gates, just broaden your minds and start catering to more deeper skin tones. Yeah, because I honestly feel like this is the limit of deepness that you can go with this for this palette, skin tone wise. So yeah, I mean, you're not gonna buy this entire palette just for that one deep shade. Like, that does not make sense at all. Am I happy with the E.L.F Berry Drop collection? On a personal level, I love the look that it gave me. Very happy with the formula. But again, on a personal level, we need to do better with shade ranges. Anyway, that is going to wrap up my video for today. It's a short one, it's a small one. I just really wanted to get filming, even though I'm not feeling 100% today. I feel like I would have gone to sleep feeling a lot worse if I didn't actually film, so hence I just, you know, it's, what time is it now? It's like 9 something. Yeah, it's 9:30, 9:40 nearly. So I'm definitely filming this in the evening. I was asleep pretty much for the rest of the day today, which is why I'm actually even able to sit up and, you know, even kind of put in 50% of maybe what I would normally put in. So sorry if you feel like I'm not totally here today in this video, or if you feel like my voice is very coarse, or you can hear my wheezy breathing, or you're looking at my puffy eyes and you're like, what the hell happened to her? Yeah, I apologize, but anyway, I wanted to film, I wanted to get this video up, I wanted to, yeah, I want to be here on YouTube more. So that is what it's about. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please leave your comments down below if you've tried the E.L.F Berry Hot Drop E.L.F Loserfruit collab. Leave me your thoughts down below, and you know, let me know what you thought of the palette. Do you agree with me that it needs to be, you know, they need to have a little bit more thoughts behind catering to deeper skin tones when it comes to collabs and stuff as well? Or do you feel like, you know what, that's the collaborator's choice, it's their creativity, it's their individual collab, and it should, you know, it'll suit who it needs to suit, and you're okay with that? Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts behind this, I guess, a lot more deeper than the makeup. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a lovely day and a lovely week ahead, wherever and whenever you guys are watching this. Always let the light in and let your creativity flow. Bye.